Hi there. Today I thought we'd have a look at this creekside scene painted in oils in alla prima techniques. That's just in one session, and I changed a few things. You can see the photograph there. As we go along you'll see how I altered a few things and changed some colours and even added a few bits in at the end. That will all be evident as we go along. It's a small 10 by 8 inch piece of plywood with a bracing frame on the back, and I've painted onto an old muddy green ground, so it's basically that's just old palette scrapings mixed with a bit of terps and then applied as a ground colour, just roughly and loosely, just to take the edge off the board so it's not a white surface this time. And here I'm just blocking in the sky and the water which is reflecting the sky, so I wanted a similar colour. I didn't want that sort of deepish blue, but I really like that dark that I'm just putting in there, and that's mixed up with ultramarine and transparent red oxide, and that just gives a lovely, so they're both lovely transparent colours, so mixed together for your darks and shadows make a lovely lovely mixture there. You can see some of the ultramarine blue on the brush there. But yeah, I was very interested in that dark area, and some darks on the left hand side which I'm placing in now. This is Mawgan Creek, which is one of the little creeks that lead off or into the Helford River in our part of Cornwall. And when I was a postman several years ago, I used to pass across that little bridge. This was my view every day of the week, and I just thought, yeah, that's got to be painted at some point. And lo and behold, last winter I decided to paint it using this photograph as my sort of loose reference. So you can just see how I stroke the paint onto the board. So we're working wet into wet now at this point. We've done our blocking, so this is all in one session. So we're working onto wet paint. So the way I tend to do it is I've got that's a flat brush I'm using there. I usually use either the flat or filbert shape brush. The filbert is a brush like a flat with slightly rounded edges, so slightly rounded corners I should say. But this is these are nice nice sized brushes. Probably these brushes are about 1 centimetre in width, the bristles. And you see how I hold the brush towards the end of the handle and gently stroke the paint on. Paint at this point is fairly thick, so I'm not using any medium now in this. This is just the paint straight out of the tube mixed on the palette, and I find that's the easiest way to lay on top of the paint which is already wet underneath. You can see there, just stroking it on very lightly and gently. It is mixing with the wet paint underneath, but in a way I want it to, so that it's not going too muddy. So I'm too heavy handed, and if I start over blending at this stage now, it goes all muddy, and it's not what you want really, or certainly not what I want anyway. You can see what I like about the brush. You can see the brush marks there. Look, lovely. I love the brush marks coming through. This is the advantage you have, especially on a smooth panel like this. Yes, if you're using canvas, you'll start to see more of the canvas weave and texture of the canvas coming through, which is nice too. I do like that as well, but I do like smooth boards, and you get these lovely brush marks coming through. Harder to paint on, I find, because you've got no tooth for the paint to grip hold onto as you move the brush across. So you've got to develop this technique so you can apply the brush marks like this, otherwise the paint gets too wet and just slips and slides around, and then it will go muddy again. With practice, and I find this is quite a nice way of painting, and obviously I've said before in other previous videos, it's very good practice for when you're going out painting outdoors. When you are working alla prima, you're just working in one session generally for about an hour and a half or 2 hours before you move on to the next location to do another painting. So it's very good practice for outdoors, and sometimes I do just blend edges, feather edges off with a palette knife, as you can see there. And again, I like to hold the palette knife right at the end with the finger and thumb grip, so it's nice and loose. So any marks I make with the palette knife are quite free then, they're not too contrived. Yeah, I'm just stroking in some of these areas to sort of soften that edge. Now you can see what I'm working with. I'm just gently making these darks nice and rich in colour, and so they're interesting to look at for the viewer. I'm just generally making the painting as interesting as I can, and good fun to paint too. At the end of the day, it's what we're doing it for, isn't it? We're having fun. We don't want to be struggling with things. If you find you're doing a painting and you're struggling, it's just not working, just shove it to one side and start another one, you know, and then come back to it maybe another day, and you might find you doing it works straight away then. Some don't work at all, and you've just got to be prepared to abandon those and paint over them and do something new, something different. Don't ever throw your boards and your canvases away. If they're paintings you find you just haven't worked on there, you're not happy with them, you just sand them back, sand them off, rub them down, repaint over them. And, you know, I do that quite a lot, especially if I've been looking at something, you know, a painting for a good few months. If I wasn't happy with it straight away, chances are I certainly won't be happy with it a couple of months later. There's just some of the distance there. Look, just putting in a bit of blue, ultramarine blue, which I use as cold blue. I'm just applying some of that onto that far river bank there, which was in the shade, to give us a sense of distance. I think we're coming to the end of it now, just applying a few little marks, thick paint with the palette knife. And that was it for that session that I filmed, and that's what I ended up with. You can see I added a few things in. I put a little bird at the top, some sort of marks, just impressions of swans in the right hand side there under the trees, and that was that. Well, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to subscribe if you want to see some more videos similar to this, and I'll try and help you with your painting if I can. All the best, and bye for now.